Pablo didn't like me, his fiancé from the countryside, to make me break off the engagement on my own. He arranged for a poor scholarship student to impersonate him. A flashy rich girl and a guy so broke he can't afford food? Perfect match. I bet the rich girl won't last 3 days. She'll dump him for sure. The guy was tall, cold, silent, and broken in a way that made people hesitate to approach. I believed it. I truly thought Pablo's family had gone bankrupt, that he couldn't even afford a meal. My father's words echoed in my mind, "Sweetheart, even if he's broke, we're not the kind who worship money. We have enough to support him." So when he was hungry, I gave him food. When he worked odd jobs, I guarded him like a bodyguard. When his mother was hospitalized, I paid the bill. I took good care of my down-and-out fiancé. Until one day, a good-looking boy snatched the breakfast I had lovingly prepared. Just as I was about to lose my temper, he stared at me indignantly. "Selena, open your eyes. I'm your real fiancé." Chapter 1. My dad once told me I had a fiancé in the city. He wanted me to decide for myself whether I wanted him or not, and used that as motivation for me to aim for a good college. So, in my second year of high school, he arranged a school transfer. I was placed directly into Pablo's class. I'd heard that Pablo's family was the wealthiest in Jiang City, with deep roots. My dad even told me to bring plenty of gifts. But when I got off the train, no one from Pablo's family came to pick me up. At first, I was a bit annoyed, but when I got to school, I saw a thin boy, Pablo, wearing a sun-bleached, faded t-shirt. All my anger vanished instantly. A classmate I met on the way saw the photo in my hand and kindly offered to lead me to him. "Class 11B? Looking for Pablo? I know him. I'll show you." He lifted a hand and pointed. I followed his finger. The boy sitting by the window sat upright, clean-cut and quietly composed. The filtered sunlight of the afternoon fell gently across his profile. A breeze ruffled his fringe, revealing a smooth forehead and sharp brow line. I glanced at my photo, then back at him. The words of the classmate still echoed painfully. "You didn't know? Pablo's family went bankrupt 2 years ago. Now he lives off scholarships, works after school, and sometimes goes hungry. Our families rarely kept in touch, and something like a bankruptcy wouldn't have been announced to us rural folks anyway." I made a soft sound of understanding and nodded rapidly like a packing chick, promising not to tell anyone. "This is Selena, the new transfer student," the teacher said. "You can sit over there." I looked up. It was the seat next to Pablo. From the moment I entered the classroom to the time the teacher assigned my seat, Pablo didn't look up once. He kept his head down, writing something intently. To get to my desk, I had to walk behind him. As I passed, my backpack accidentally tugged on something. I gave it a gentle pull, and a metal cup clattered out from under his desk. It rolled a bit and landed with a sharp clang. Inside was a half piece of dry, rock-hard bread, now coated in dust. I saw his shoulders tremble almost imperceptibly. He tightened his grip on the pen but didn't turn around. A few snickers floated in the air. Some boys nearby whispered behind his back, eyes full of contempt. So this was how badly Pablo was living now. The confident boy in the photo couldn't even afford a decent meal. I bit my lip, hugged my backpack, and sat down. "Sorry. I didn't mean to," I whispered. He still didn't look at me. He just picked up the cup I'd placed on the desk and silently shoved it back into the drawer. "I'm Selena. Do you remember me?" I leaned in slightly. We'd met once when he was 6. Like my mom, I've always been a sucker for pretty faces. Back then, Pablo had been adorable and angelic. I'd loved him at first sight, but I'd taken him to play with chickens, and one of them pecked his butt. He never talked to me again. Thankfully, he'd grown up well, still just as handsome. He was startled by my sudden approach. He leaned back slightly, lowering his gaze to look at me. His eyes were stunning, like black gemstones. His long lashes cast shadows over his cool expression, softening his aloofness. But even after the initial shock, he still didn't say a word. I scratched my head. "I'm your fiancé. Do you remember that?" He happened to be drinking water and choked. He coughed with a hoarse voice, and I immediately patted his back to help. When he finally recovered, he looked at me strangely, his pale cheeks tinged red. Maybe he didn't remember, or maybe bankruptcy had changed him. Either way, I got the message. "Let's just start fresh." I smiled and held out my hand. "So from now on, We're desk mates. I'm Selena. Nice to meet you. Oh, and can I ask a favor? I thought he would ignore me again, but this time, he spoke, though coldly. I don't have time. Chapter 2. The classmate who kindly showed me the way earlier. As soon as he saw me enter the classroom, he slipped away to the stairwell, where a few other rich kids like him were waiting. Eric excitedly turned to the handsome boy in the center and said, "Pablo, it's done." That girl's totally clueless. She believed everything I said. I pointed out Joel and told her Pablo's family went bankrupt and couldn't even afford food. Her jaw literally dropped. She even saw Joel's rock-hard bread. People are living like that these days. And she still thinks she can play the savior? I bet within 3 days, she'll beg her dad to cancel the engagement. A flash of impatience crossed Pablo's eyes, but he still asked to confirm. You sure 3 days is enough? She really bought it? I saw the photo she brought. It's just a profile shot of you, and Joel looks close enough. If I say it's him, she won't question it. I even told her you changed your name after the bankruptcy to dodge debt collectors. She totally fell for it. If she really runs into you, just say it's someone with the same name. That'll keep her off your back. Hands in his pockets. Pablo's handsome face relaxed a little. A country bumpkin rich girl. Seriously, who still does arranged marriages these days? Exactly. Your family has a century-old legacy. If there were going to be a marriage alliance, it should have been with someone equally prestigious, like your older brother marrying the heiress of Genshin Group. But you? Tied down to some village girl? No kidding. My mom's been protesting for days over this. She even went on a hunger strike to force my dad to call it off. But you know how my dad is, always listens to grandpa. And grandpa's all about honor and loyalty. Wants to fulfill some promise he made to an old war buddy. Oh right, about your fiancé though. Pablo shot him a cold look, and he quickly corrected himself. That country girl's actually kinda pretty. I even took a photo. Wanna see? Maybe you'll change your mind. Pablo scoffed. Are you kidding me? You think I'd go for someone like that? Eric scratched his head and muttered. I mean, she's really pretty. Prettier than your childhood sweetheart. The school bell. Chapter 3. I had no idea about any of that. Right now, all I could see was Joel. Yes, he said his name was Joel, and that's what everyone called him. It made sense. Pablo's family really had gone bankrupt. Even changed his name to dodge debt collectors. I spent the whole day trying to talk to Joel. He barely responded. Sometimes even pretended not to hear me. But I was a chatterbox by nature. I inherited that from my dad. He could talk to cows all day and not get bored. And with how easily I warm up to strangers, social interaction was basically my superpower. Hey, do you know any good food around Jiang City? It's my first day. I don't know anything. By the way, do you commute or stay on campus? Wait, this topic's different from how they taught it back in my town. Where can I get some water? I'm so thirsty. Joel would sometimes get fed up and mutter, just focus on class. Then, after a pause, he'd add, there's a water station outside class 4. You can only go during breaks. By the time break came, I'd completely forgotten about getting water. Instead, I called my dad to tell him about Pablo's bankruptcy. He sounded shocked. What? Really? Well, it's fine, baby. If it's true, it's true. We're not the type to judge someone by money. It's in hard times that a person's character shows. If you really like the kid, we can support him. I nodded. Not that I really liked him, but Joel did seem pitiful. I didn't have much, except money, and that just happened to be what he lacked. My family got rich the year I was born, when the 1998 real estate reform was still just a whisper in the newspaper. My dad bought up an abandoned grain station. By 2005, when the city launched a new development zone, he dove right in again. Later, when the internet boom hit, he had no idea what was going on, but he knew how to invest. We hadn't been rich long, so compared to the generations of wealth behind Pablo's family, I really was what they call a nouveau riche. But being nouveau riche has its perks, like how my dad gives me credit cards like candy and doesn't even blink. I could have bought the entire KTV Joel worked at, but I didn't. Instead, I spent days pestering him just to find out where he worked. At night, Joel looked a bit different, more relaxed. Hair slightly messy. I had followed him in secret, and when he spotted me, his brows furrowed hard. Who told you to come here? He dragged me to the stairwell. Who said you could come to a KTV? Well, at least he was talking now. I pulled a sandwich from my backpack and shoved it into his hand. Joel froze, hand hanging in midair. Eat. I nudged it toward him. I accidentally bought too many. The owner said it'll expire by tonight, and I can't finish it. It'd be a waste, so help me out, okay? I'd already looked into it. Joel worked 3 jobs every day after school. First, handing out flyers, then running a fried noodle stand. After that, he'd come here to work late shifts at the KTV. He sold noodles for 7 yuan a serving and never dared eat them himself. He either made do with a cold bun from the morning or waited to scavenge leftovers from the KTV lounge. In the past few days, I'd already made friends with most of the class. Plenty of them warned me to stay away from Joel, said he was weird, always gloomy, only did homework and never talked to anyone, said his mom had uremia and his sister was disabled. Strange. Pablo's mom had such a serious illness? But I didn't dare ask Joel directly. I didn't want to upset him. Why? Joel asked softly, looking down at the sandwich. I shook my hand and widened my eyes playfully. Why not? You're my desk mate, and you helped me solve a question today. I nodded firmly. Yeah, my dad said if I don't get into a good college, he'll break my legs. So Joel, this sandwich is a bribe, okay? Not free, you have to keep tutoring me tomorrow. Earlier today, I glanced at his test. The guy scored 149 in math. He pursed his lips. Aren't you disgusted by me? I blinked. Why would I be? I bent down dramatically and sniffed around him like a puppy. You don't even know, your mom washes your clothes so well. I've been sitting next to you, and every time the wind blows, I smell that lovely clean soap scent. Now look at mine. I raised my sleeve. Filthy. Way dirtier than yours. Do you find me gross? In the dark, Joel suddenly looked up. His eyes sparkled like stars. He shook his head slowly, still clutching the sandwich. I raised my chin proudly. That's more like it. I am your fi. I pouted my lips to the right and shut myself up just in time. Chapter 4. Joel clocked out 10 minutes early and insisted on walking me home, slipping a set of his study notes into my backpack on the way. Before I came, my dad had already bought me a place in the Qingye Villa district. Ever since my mom passed away, he's treated me like the apple of his eye. He even wanted to skip work and come live with me this time, but I talked him out of it. In the end, he carefully hired an auntie to look after me while I studied. When we were about to reach the villas, I suddenly veered off and led Joel down another street where the houses were cheaper. His family had gone bankrupt. Seeing rows of mansions would only rub salt in the wound. This is my place, I said casually, pointing at a random house. Then I urged him, you should head back too. Joel looked up, then reached out and patted me lightly on the crown of my head. See you tomorrow, desk mate. Anyone who knew him would have noticed it right away. Joel looked like a paper-cut figure suddenly breathed to life. Less grim, less funereal, like he'd finally found a little hope for a tomorrow that never seemed kind. After he left, I sprinted straight back to the villa district. I ran fast, and just as I turned into my building, I almost collided with someone coming the other way. He reacted quickly, reaching out to steady me just in time. I looked up into a handsome, delicate face, still boyish, beautifully cut. The feeling was strangely familiar. Right, he did look a bit like Joel, but why did he seem dazed? I waved a hand in front of his eyes. Hey, I'm fine. You can let go now. He blinked and released me at once. Sorry. I didn't think much of it, just nodded and walked on. Behind me, he called out, are you from No. 1 High School? But at that exact moment, my little dog shot out to greet me. I ran to it, laughing, and in an instant forgot all about the boy. Pablo stood there, stunned, watching the girl hug her dog and vanish around the corner in a whirl of joy. By the time he came to and ran after her, she was already gone. He opened the class group chat. Anyone seen a girl from our school? Long hair, pretty tall, huge round eyes, tiny mole on the tip of her nose? Someone replied, what's up? Spot a new chick? Love at first sight? Quit it. Another chimed in. Pablo's standards are sky high. He wouldn't even look at the school bell. Love at first sight? As if. Pablo lounged back, legs on the coffee table, staring at the words love at first sight for a long time. Cut the crap. Just answer me, yes or no. Long hair, seen plenty. Big eyes, sure. Tall, also common. But that whole combo? Nope. Tell you what, tomorrow I'll do a patrol for you. If she's from no one high, she won't escape. Pablo drawled. Get it done and there'll be a fat reward. He was born to privilege, blessed with looks, and carried a natural confidence. If he wanted something, someone, he always got it. Chapter 5. After class that day, Joel bent down and took the broom from my hands. Sit. The sunset stained the classroom windows honeygold. Joel's fingers wrapped the worn smooth handle, sweeping with practiced ease. Do you take cleaning duty often? I sat on his desk, swinging my legs. He hummed and explained. People pay for it, 10 yuan a time. Then he glanced at me, awkward. I didn't mean. I hopped off the desk, grabbed a mop, and huffed. What a rip-off. Cleaning a whole classroom for 10? That's stingier than my dad. The cicadas outside grew suddenly loud. Joel kept his eyes on the floor, and for once the dull chore didn't feel so tedious. When we finished, he headed toward Liangqiao's underpass. He turned back to say, I wrote down today's problem-solving steps on the back. Review them tonight. If anything's unclear, I'll go over it tomorrow. I barely listened, tipping my head at him. Can I come with you to your stall? He paused and declined gently. Everyone's cramming at night. If you don't, it's easy to fall behind. In the end, he still wouldn't let me tag along. He really looked like he was scared my dad might actually break my legs. When I eventually found his stall on my own, he was hunched over in an apron, frying noodles for customers. He spotted me. The spatula paused for half a second. Why are you here? A classmate? A gentle voice sounded beside me. Are you Joel's classmate? I followed the voice and saw Joel's mother. Illness had hollowed her cheeks, but you could still see the elegance in her features. Hello, Auntie. I'm Joel's desk mate, I said with a smile. She seemed delighted. The warm light gilded her whitening hair. Nina, ¿quieres videos? Yo. Nuestro Joel casi nunca trae compañeros. Deja que la tía te haga un platido. See? Joel pressed her back into her seat and shot me a look. Please sit. I'll handle it. I smiled with crescent moon eyes, staring at him like, hurry up, I'm starving. Joel said nothing and started pulling ingredients from a foam box. 2 free-range eggs cracked into hot oil, fragrance bursting with a lively sizzle. Then went in a hearty spoon of shredded pork, coin-sliced sausage, shrimp, and a ladle of secret meat sauce. As the wok roared, the aroma flooded the alley. He tossed in greens and tender bean sprouts until just crisp. Then a handful of noodles, flipping fast. The soy gloss strands tumbled in the iron wok, scallions raining over the top, red and green and wildly appetizing. I glanced at the menu and realized he was making me the deluxe version, 21 yuan a serving. I sat at a little table. Joel brought the bowl over. I rubbed my disposable chopsticks between my palms, half crouching. He watched me, eyes a touch nervous. Try it. His cooking was no joke. The smell alone made my mouth water. I took a big bite and shot him a thumbs up. After a while, I hugged the bowl, eyes stinging. Joel, why do your noodles taste like Mom's? I miss her. Joel saw my red eyes and panicked, stumbling over his words. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I stared at him for a long moment. So obedient. How could someone be this gentle? His fringe fell neatly over his fine brows. The brain that could solve 1,000 problems seemed only capable of saying, I'm sorry. I remembered, as a child, Pablo had been a beautiful, arrogant swan. Life must have been bitter these past years. I tilted my head. You're going to make it. Joel blinked. What? I let it drop. I'd never met anyone like Joel. 1 foot sunk in the mud, and yet utterly clean. He was brilliant, too, even with only class time to study each day. He'd held the #1 rank for years, so a brief dimming of light didn't mean anything. I believed Joel would make it, whatever he chose to do. Chapter 6. That weekend, I didn't look for Joel. Instead, itching for some thrill, I snuck into a racing club. Ever since coming to Jiang City, I hadn't touched a wheel, but just as I reached the entrance, I got turned away. Sorry, miss, we're closed to the public today. I pointed at the sign outside. It literally says you're open today. Ah, that's our staff's mistake. Apologies. I was disappointed. I'd finally found a decent club with some real skill. I'd always loved riding, first cows as a kid, then bikes. And once I discovered racing, my dad even sent me abroad for a few months to train. Eventually, I got too restless, so he brought me back. When I turned 15, he slyly handed me an envelope. I opened it to find land rights to several dozen acres, coordinates pointing to the eastern hills. Broad terrain, natural slopes, the kind of track I dreamed about for half a year. Just as I was about to leave, a gust of wind swept past me. A familiar, handsome face stopped right in front of me, sounding pleasantly surprised. "It's you?" I stared at him for a few seconds before realizing he was that guy from the other night. "You race?" His peach blossom eyes curved playfully, like he'd found a rare animal. I nodded, unbothered. "Yeah, shame I can't get on track today." He waved at the manager who had just argued with me. The guy gave a quick nod and left. Then he turned to me. "Wanna race? I don't often see girls into this. Let's be friends. You're welcome here anytime." I shrugged. I never turned down a good challenge. As soon as the green light blinked, both cars launched off the starting line almost simultaneously. From the corner of my eye, I saw his car take the first turn with shocking precision. He didn't take the usual wide line but instead sliced through the apex. His tail kicked up blue smoke that exploded right in front of me. You could tell he'd had serious training, and for quite some time. I smiled, whipped the wheel, but still, against me, he was a little outmatched. By the time the red flag dropped at the finish line, I couldn't even see his car behind me. In the lounge, my phone suddenly rang. "Miss, Joel's stall got smashed. I'm watching the scene right now. Want to come over?" Of course I couldn't be with Joel 24/7. That's why I hired someone. I hung up, changed clothes, and bolted out the door without saying a word. By the time Pablo reached the lounge, I was already gone. "Where'd she go?" he asked the manager behind him. "She left. Said she had something urgent, didn't even wait a second." Trying to flatter him, the manager grinned. "Pablo, I've never seen you go so easy on someone. You really lowered yourself to impress this girl." Pablo tossed down his helmet, too annoyed to bother with a response. "Go easy? Hell no." He lost to a girl, and he'd gone all out. But surprisingly, he wasn't mad. A smile tugged at his lips. He had to admit, he really liked that girl. He opened the group chat with his buddies and dropped a photo, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Look at this. Fate. I swear, I ran into her again today. Pretty, right? Even prettier behind the wheel. Next time I'll bring you guys." The replies came in hot, some praising the photo, others roasting Pablo for finally falling hard. Only Eric stayed quiet for a long while, before finally dropping a photo of his own. "Dude, you're screwed. You must have some cursed luck. You've fallen for your countryside fiancé. That nouveau riche girl. You sure this isn't the same person? Look at these two pics. Far as I know, she really thinks Joel is you. She's been treating him like a prince. Man, this is a mess. An absolute mess." Pablo sat upright, opened Eric's photo, and compared it carefully. It took a long time before he finally typed. "What did you just say?" Chapter 7. By the time I reached Joel's stall, I didn't know where he'd been hit, but blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. I'd already heard stories. Before Joel's father died, he racked up a mountain of gambling debt. Sometimes the debt collectors would crash at Joel's house, eating, drinking, and living there for days just because they couldn't get their money. Once in a while, they'd even come to his school, demanding repayment in front of everyone. Technically, Joel wasn't responsible. It wasn't his debt, it was his father's. But because of that, the collectors resorted to threats, harassment, and intimidation. When the scar-faced one saw me, he sneered. "Yo, got yourself a girlfriend now? I figured the money was going somewhere else. No wonder you can't even cough up 5,000 yuan. He reached out to grab Joel, but before he could react, I kicked him hard right between the legs. Don't be fooled by my skinny frame. My dad, paranoid that something might happen to his precious daughter, made me learn taekwondo from a young age. This girl might look like a noodle, but these fists are solid muscle." I grabbed the guy's wrist and twisted. He howled in pain, trying to pull away, but my grip didn't budge an inch. "You little bee. The cops are on their way," I said coldly. "Keep yelling, I dare you." I'd already called the police on my way here. Right on cue. Sirens blared in the distance, getting closer fast. The whole crew scattered like rats. Except Scarface. He couldn't escape with me holding him. By the time we got out of the police station, it was well past midnight. Joel had already repaid most of his dad's debts over the years. The last bit, 35,000 yuan. Interest included, I secretly paid off myself, just so he could finally have peace. "Does it still hurt?" I asked, pointing to his cheek. His pale skin was now swollen, printed with a deep red palm mark. Joel shook his head, but halfway through walking, he paused and looked up at the sky. I followed his gaze and heard him speak. "Tell me something," he said, lifting his hand and opening his palm. "The moon is so bright and beautiful tonight. Why, is it shining on someone like me?" I looked up at the moon too, then spread my arms and gasped. "Whoa, you're right. I just noticed. It's true what they say, the moon's rounder on the 16th. Look how big and round it is. It looks like a giant mooncake." "Joel, do you want a mooncake?" "I'm starving." Joel had been watching me the whole time. At my words, he chuckled softly and nodded. That night, we didn't have mooncakes. We ended up eating Joel's deluxe stir-fried noodles instead. Chapter 8. The next day, I still arrived at school earlier than usual. When no one was looking, I quietly pulled out the breakfast the auntie had packed for me. Just as I was about to slip it into Joel's desk, a pair of beautiful hands flashed across my vision and snatched the sandwich away. I stared at my now empty right hand. I looked up, ready to explode, only to see an exquisitely handsome face. "You?" I blinked, confused. "Why'd you steal my sandwich?" Pablo's smile faltered, and a flicker of grievance appeared in his eyes. "Selena, you forgot me?" "I'm Pablo." I stared at him in surprise. "Wait, you're Pablo too?" He tapped my head with his finger. "When you were 6, you made a chicken peck my butt. Don't tell me you've forgotten." That's when I realized something wasn't right. You're Pablo?" I glanced at Joel's desk. Then he's? "Joel?" Pablo looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world, clearly puzzled by my confusion. "Don't tell me, you thought he was me?" I pulled out the address I always kept on me and pointed at it. But I checked. No one was there. Back then, I'd searched half-heartedly, and someone had pointed Pablo out to me, so I didn't think much of it. After all, I wasn't here to force the engagement. Getting into a good university was my real goal, and with Joel's academic level way beyond even the top elite universities, if I stuck close to him, I'd at least land a spot in a prestigious 985 or 211 university. So I told myself, who cares about a fiancé? If I couldn't find him, so be it. Besides, Joel was handsome too, a different kind of handsome than Pablo. Pablo looked like he was born from luxury and brilliance. Even his eyebrows carried pride and arrogance. Joel's beauty came with a quiet resilience, like he might collapse at any moment, yet somehow always stood tall. "Who gave you that address? It's all wrong." Pablo bent down, pretending to scold me. "Selena, look closely. I am your fiancé, the one with the childhood engagement." "Pablo, no idea who misled you into thinking Joel was me." I scratched my head awkwardly. "Sorry about that." More and more students were entering the classroom. Several glanced over. "Isn't that Pablo? Didn't he transfer to another class? Why is he back?" Pablo stood up straight and handed me the sandwich. "No worries. I'll pick you up after school. Grandpa's been dying to meet you." That evening, he transferred 500,000 yuan to Eric, telling him to stay abroad for as long as possible. When I looked up, I saw Joel had entered the classroom at some point. He stood silently with one hand clutching the strap of his backpack, shoulders slightly hunched, and eyes fixed on me. In those dark eyes, the usual sparkle had shattered into scattered fragments. Joel was standing there, and he'd heard every word. Chapter 9. Through the entire class, Joel didn't say a single word. It was like he'd gone back to the way he was the first day we met, cold, distant, unreadable. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. I picked up my pen and jabbed it hard into his arm. Joel immediately turned to look at me, almost as if he'd been waiting for it. And for just a split second, I saw a spark of light flicker in his eyes. Wow, just like my little puppy at home, one call. And both he and the pup would look at me with those same sparkling eyes. So, here's the thing. I began. Someone with a really rotten heart tricked me. They told me you were Pablo and made up this whole story. That's why I mistook you for him. But, sure, I got the person wrong. But all the time we've spent together, that wasn't fake, right? You can't just leave me behind. I didn't even know why I was panicking, but I was. All I could do was threaten him. You promised to help me. You can't back out halfway. If I don't get into a good university, I'll never forgive you. Joel suddenly lowered his head and started rummaging through his desk. After a while, he pulled out a thick notebook. These are classic math problems from the past few years. I've written several solutions for each one. The ones marked in red are the easier methods. Those should cover most similar questions. The blue and green ones are more complex, but they'll help you understand the logic behind solving that category of problems. If you get that, you can handle anything in that type. His fingers clutched the notebook tightly, knuckles pale from the grip. He'd spent the whole class thinking, reevaluating himself over and over, and finally had to admit it. He had nothing to offer. Nothing that could compare to someone like Pablo. All he had was this. Cheap, worthless, and yet, it was everything he could give. He paused, then quietly added, "It's okay if you don't understand. I'll help you." He looked at me, smiling, and in that moment, his eyes held starlight. "Selena, I'll help you. Whatever you want to do, I'll help you." I took the notebook. It was thick and heavy. His handwriting was beautiful. Every page was handwritten, clean, precise, and neat. "Thank you, Joel." The fact that he was still talking to me meant he was still willing to be my friend. I pressed the notebook to my cheek and leaned closer, smiling. "I'll study it really seriously, so we're still friends, okay? I still want to go to and from school with you." Joel hesitated for a moment, then finally gave a small nod. During break, I called my dad. I told him Pablo's family hadn't gone bankrupt. It was a mistake on my part. He made a surprised sound. "Well, that's great news. Now maybe you'll stop worrying all day and actually call your dad once in a while." Then he paused, sounding a little regretful. "Guess that ruins the whole doorstep proposal plan." After the last class ended, I did what I always did, pat Joel on the shoulder. "Let's go." Joel didn't move. I followed his gaze. Pablo was standing in the doorway of the classroom. No one knew when he'd arrived. Chapter 10. When I looked over, Pablo turned his head and smiled naturally. "Let's go." The driver's waiting outside. Then I remembered, Grandpa had called me at noon. I'd agreed to go meet him with Pablo. Joel kept his head down, fiddling with his things, and said softly, "It's okay, I can go home by myself." I glanced at Joel and, for some reason, my mind flashed back to the day I found the little round bean puppy. It had poured that day. The puppy, only a few months old, had been abandoned in the rain, dripping and shivering by the roadside. I swallowed the odd prick in my chest and followed Pablo away. The Pablo estate was huge and old, weighty, elegant mansion, nothing like my place. Grandpa was delighted to see me and asked so many questions. Pablo's mother, however, didn't like me at all. Her face turned sour the moment she saw me. On the way back, Pablo tried to smooth things over. "My mom's like that. Spend more time with her and she'll warm up." I didn't care. Whether she liked me or not was none of my business. I wasn't marrying her. Suddenly Pablo waved his hand in front of my face. "Oh, and about that Joel, stay away from him." Hearing Joel's name snapped me back. "What?" He immediately shut up. Half words caught on his tongue. "Never mind. Just remember that." I was annoyed, but I didn't press it. Chapter 11. From that day on, everyone said Pablo was chasing me. And he was chasing me openly, no subtlety, so everyone knew about our situation. "He's just pursuing his own fiancé. That's normal. What do you know?" I thought Pablo would look down on a country girl, but turns out he really likes her. I heard Selena thought Joel was Pablo when she first came and treated him like a prince. I told you, how did that poor kid Joel get so lucky? Selena, that gorgeous beauty, chasing after him like a simp. Turns out it was a case of mistaken identity. I didn't let those words bother me. They were meant for Joel. After PE, I couldn't find Joel anywhere. I searched every corner. Finally, passing two girls, I overheard them. It's horrible. Simon and the others locked Joel in the equipment room to teach him a lesson. Oh my god. Should we tell the homeroom teacher? Forget it. If Simon finds out it was us, we're done. We can't pick fights over Joel. I dashed toward the equipment room, but Pablo barreled out and blocked me. Weren't you going to bring me water? I didn't see you the whole game. I wriggled free. Panicked. Sorry. I have to go. You're going after Joel again? Selena. Remember, you only mixed him up at first. If not for me, he wouldn't even have the right to talk to you. Pablo. I said calmly, looking up at him. Maybe at first I mistook him for you, but the person I've been with is Joel, not you. I can tell them apart. Pablo frowned. What do you mean? I had no time to listen. I ran like the wind toward the equipment room. The equipment room sat beneath the stands once the door shut. It was pitch black. Luckily, when I arrived, Simon and his gang were still inside. I grabbed his collar and snarled, "Give me the key, or I'll beat you into a pig's head." Simon's family had some muscle. He acted up because his dad had connections with the principal. He reddened. Let go. Selena, who do you think you are? You gonna hit me? I wasn't afraid. I lunged and shoved him hard. If I'm gonna beat you, I beat you now. Give me the key. Even Scarface wouldn't beat me. How could these pudgy high school bullies stand a chance? Joel? I shoved the door open and called loudly. A strip of light fell through the doorway, and I saw Joel on the floor, sweating, disheveled. His messy fringe hid his slightly opened eyes. He looked up at me slowly. Chapter 12. Only then did I realize this wasn't the first time Joel had suffered like this. A group of boys led by Simon frequently found excuses to pick on him. Maybe no one understood how fierce boys' jealousy could be. Joel was smart and handsome, despite his poor background. Plenty of girls liked him, but Joel rejected every love letter he received. Still, many girls secretly adored him. Simon and his crew decided, why should someone from the lower class have that much? So they bullied him and even started dirtier rumors. Once, Joel had rescued a child on his way to school. The child's mother, in a Bentley, gave Joel a lift so he wouldn't be late. Simon and his friends saw it. By the end of the day, the whole school was buzzing with a vicious rumor. Joel was being kept by a rich, older woman. Wow. So Joel's like that? Clean cut on the outside, but selling himself for money? I heard he plays those steel ball games just to please some cougar. No wonder. So that's how a rich woman could like him. He's shameless. The scandal blew up. Only when the Bentley woman came to school with traffic camera footage to clear things up did Joel get his name back. The school's punishment for Simon and the others who spread the lies was weak, barely anything, and certainly not public. This time, I stormed straight to the principal's office with Joel. Selena, Joel said, trying to stop me, grabbing my arm. Don't cause trouble for yourself. I didn't care. I kept dragging him forward. Joel felt my anger. My yank bent his tall frame, and he didn't utter a sound. Luckily for us, I'd hired someone to record the confrontation with Simon and his gang. They couldn't deny what they'd said. Everything was on tape. I made it loud. If the school refused to properly handle it, I would make the world see. I posted the video on Weibo. When Joel and I walked out of the principal's office, I felt clean and light as air. I looked back and realized Joel had been staring at me the whole time, his eyes full of admiration, almost spilling over. I straightened my chest and pretended to cough a couple of times. Don't forget to write that apology for me. The footage showed me roughing them up a little. Brash. Sure, but considering I'd been fighting for someone else's dignity, small sins were forgivable. Joel smiled. Okay. Chapter 13. When I rescued Joel that day, Pablo was watching the whole time. But afterward, he didn't say a word. The next few times he came to see me, he acted like nothing had happened. I felt a bit awkward and planned to find a chance to talk it through with him. Then, right on cue, I got a video message from a friend abroad. Selena, is this Pablo guy the same Pablo who's your fiancé? I clicked it open. It was a noisy bar overseas. The place was loud. So the guy was yelling into the camera. Isn't this the funniest thing? Pablo asked me to pretend to be him, to help him ditch that fiancé from the countryside. And then guess what? Out of sheer damn bad luck or fate or whatever, Joel fell head over heels for the girl the moment he saw her. Now Pablo's trying to win her over, and I'm the one who got exiled. But fine, for my bro's happiness, I'll suffer through it. So that's how it was. Everything suddenly made sense. Strangely, I didn't feel sad watching the video. Instead, I felt lucky. I was lucky that the first person I met, through a mistake, was Joel. I turned off the video and poked Joel's arm with my pen. I hate sunburns. So Joel had taken the seat by the window. The afternoon light poured in, casting a warm halo around his side profile. "What's up?" He put down his pen and turned to me, serious. As always, even with the tiniest things. I stared at him closely. He looked even better now that he'd gained a bit of weight. I must be feeding him well. "My dad's in Jiangqing," I said softly. Sure enough, I caught the flash of panic in Joel's eyes. My dad had come to cancel the engagement. Chapter 14. The two families hadn't kept in close touch, but the childhood engagement had been around for years, and plenty of people knew about it. Emotionally and logically, it was time to make a clean cut. Luckily, neither family liked the other much, so the breakup went quick. By the time Pablo found out, the engagement was already null. Word was, he raced home that day, just in time to see my dad walking out of his house. Arrogant, proud Pablo, for the first time, actually begged, "Uncle, please, just give me one more chance." I don't know what my dad said back, but when I saw him, he was grumbling under his breath. What the hell? He looked down on my baby girl? Well, I looked down on him. Skinny twig like that. One punch and all four limbs collapse. Useless. My dad was in a phase where he couldn't stand any guy my age. Unfortunately, that's when he saw Joel standing next to me. His eyes widened like a judge ready to swing the gavel. "You don't stand near her." For years after that, Joel didn't dare come within 5 meters of him. Later, Pablo came to see me again. "You like Joel?" he asked. "There's nothing about him that compares to me. Does he even know how much one of your bags costs? You're with a broke guy like that, what are you getting out of it? You and I are a match. Joel isn't even from our world." He didn't sound angry, just calmly stating what he believed to be facts. I smiled slightly. "I thought you might apologize." He pursed his lips and replied, "It was a misunderstanding. I didn't do it on purpose." That was when I understood, he was the kind of person who didn't apologize. Maybe he didn't think he had to. Maybe he didn't think my forgiveness mattered. I looked at him seriously. "I'm rich, really rich. I can buy any bag I want. I'm not the kind of girl who marries a man just because he can afford my shopping list. If one day I go broke, I'll buy cheaper bags, no matter how life turns out. I believe I'll be just fine. I like Joel. Whatever bag he gives me, I'll love it." Pablo, I wasn't mad about your lie, really, because honestly, I didn't care. You tricked me once. It didn't hurt, but the thing is, that kind of behavior, you'll do it again. It's part of who you are, and for that, I actually feel sorry for you. After that, Pablo never bothered me again. When we ran into each other at school, he always had a new girl by his side. Eventually, I heard he went abroad for university after the college entrance exams. Chapter 15. The year Joel took the college entrance exam, he got into Tsinghua. I trailed behind him and managed to land a spot at a 985 university in the same city. My dad was so ecstatic he hosted a 400-table banquet that very night. It was also around that time I learned Joel had once seriously considered dropping out of school, just a few days before I arrived. After college, Joel went on to pursue graduate studies. Life at home got better over the years. His little sister made it into middle school too. The only regret was that during sophomore year, Joel's mom passed away. As for me, I knew I wasn't cut out for academia. After graduation, I gradually took over my father's business empire. During Joel's grad school years, I expanded operations to Beijing. Back then, after wrapping up work each day, I'd drive over to his university, and without fail, the moment I parked, I'd see Joel waiting on the curb, clean, fresh, wearing a backpack. He was even taller than he'd been in high school. His features had grown sharper, more beautiful, but with the soft aura of a pure college boy. Meanwhile, I'd be in long dresses, every hair strand carefully styled at the salon, lipstick red, heels sharp, even though he was a few months older than me. During that time, I loved teasing him with his tie, coaxing him to call me big sister. Joel would always melt in the eyes, kneeling tenderly at my feet. Flushed and breathless, Jijia, I'm a direct kind of woman. I'm rich. I'm hot. I live exactly how I want. And when I keep a man, I spoil him properly. I'd already made up my mind. If Joel wanted to be a doctor, I'd build him a hospital. If he wanted to be an astronomer, I'd buy him a star. In the end, Joel became a world-class physicist, so I poured my money into building him a research institute. Adult Joel was something else entirely. That one skinny boy had shed all signs of youth. Now his features were sharp, his body lean and muscular, broad shoulders, narrow waist, every line carved with power. When he carried me, his veins bulged, but he never ran out of breath. Only his heartbeat thundered. I loved him most in white shirts and black trousers. When I tore them open and the V-line of his abs led down into that devilish curve, my God, he was sinful. Who would have guessed, behind that cold, abstinent professor facade? He was shockingly creative in private. Sometimes my back hurt too much, so I'd fake errands to escape. He'd mistake my evasion for losing interest. Selena, Joel used to never cry during the hardest parts of his life. Yet now, with me, he'd get teary-eyed in bed, voice hoarse and eyes flushed. I bought something new, wanna try it? But I was never good at resisting him. The moment he took off his glasses, I'd forget everything else. After we married, my business soared. The company I inherited from my father, I took it public. That same year, Joel won the most prestigious award in theoretical physics. When the interview aired, the whole world was stunned by the youth, the face, the brilliance. Those who knew him couldn't believe it. How could a man constantly racing between remote research centers still have the energy to produce such groundbreaking work? Only I knew. They didn't understand because they never met the high school version of Joel. At the end of the interview, the reporter asked, "Is there someone you'd like to thank the most for this award?" On the big screen, Joel's face appeared, calm and gentle. He spoke quietly, with unwavering tenderness. "My wife." Joel looked straight into the camera, as if he were looking at me across space. She was the light of my youth. A light, long, bright, unwavering, that chased away all the darkness in his life.